They say that everything comes to an end. What they fail to say is that the end of one thing is often the beginning of something new.
My name is Providence, and this is Mana. We're four-year seniors here at Oklahoma Academy. It all started the year 2015, when we came to OA as freshmen. We left our families and friends behind and entered into a new experience. There were many things we didn't know, but the people here helped us through the entire year. Then came sophomore year. There were many talented musicians, and Mana and I aspired to be like them. We wanted to gain similar talents. I remember we would wake up early in the morning just to practice, and with time, we progressed. Sadly, most of our class left after this year, and we figured out it would only be Mana and I staying for junior year. But then two amazing people came into our junior class, the resolved Steven and the quiet but funny Ellen. And although we were shy at first, we bonded through all the activities that transpired our junior year. But God turned everything around with four new seniors. Andy, the quiet leader, Magdalene, the serious yet dedicated one, Maria, the confident one, Nikki, the positive motivator. And we each got to know each other. But as a class, we had a lot to do. A lot of responsibilities, graduation prep, college prep, but mainly the Cuba trip preparations during this short period of time.
Oh, it's Cuba.
Each year, the seniors use their class trip to serve in the mission field. This year, the entire school went to Cuba and held 6 simultaneous evangelistic series in different locations. The seniors were able to participate in many different roles. Some were the main speakers at the evangelistic meetings, others led out in the children's programs. All of them contributed to a successful campaign where many decisions for baptism occurred. The seniors also spent 1 week in Cuba after the rest of the school returned home. They were able to visit other parts of the island while also helping with a restoration project at the School of Light.
When we went to Cuba, I was the adult meeting speaker, and in our meetings we were going over the fundamentals of Adventism. And I was teaching about baptism one night, and after that night we were talking about baptism a lot. Like, I was bringing it up in my calls, and I was telling the people how important it is to be baptized. But I had a problem with this because I came to their country and was telling them what to do when I myself hadn't done that thing. I was not yet baptized. And because I had things in my life that kept me from coming to my Lord. But as I was preaching to them, I was really preaching to myself. And I realized that I didn't want anything to come between my Lord and myself. So that's why I made the decision to publicly declare that Jesus is Lord of my heart.
So before I went to Cuba, I had a lot of little assignments to do for school and preparing for college. And so I had a lot on my mind, and people would ask me, like, are you excited to go to Cuba? And even though I wasn't as prepared as I could have been. I wasn't as focused and getting as excited as I could have. And I didn't get everything done, but I had to go anyway. And so I was worrying about that a little bit as I was going there. But then once I got there, I got really absorbed into the mission work, in the meetings, visiting people, playing with the kids, and they were really happy, and that made me happy. And a couple days in, I had to stop and realize that I hadn't been worrying about all those things that I thought I would have. And all the other people in Cuba, they were happy. And as I saw them, that made me realize that I don't have to stress out over all these little things of the earth.
So one of the things we learned in Cuba is that if God provides a way, He'll never give up on you. The only thing we had to do for that to happen was pray diligently and place our faith in Him.
Boy, was I humbled. First night, it seemed as though no one was paying attention. Most of the people were asleep. And that night, I had to just pray, ask God that He would do something through me. Not my will, but His will be done, not that I could see anything. And I had to just go by faith, not by sight, hoping that God would not let me be the hindrance to the message, but through me, He might work wonders.
So when we were gonna get ready to go to Cuba, I wasn't really ready. I was scared of what could happen if something happened. And so Mrs. Henderson told us every time we would get ready, let's pray so that this problem that just happened, so it can get solved.
When I went to Cuba, I first noticed that the Christian there was so loving, kind, and energetic. And their love for God was so deep, and they were willing to give up their life for God.
For my experience in Cuba, something that stuck out to me was the people's genuine love. They had a deep love for Christ and for others. And when I would do something where I thought I was being a great Christian or I thought I was showing real love for somebody, they would go beyond what I did. And it would show me that I'm not even close. Like, they had such a deep love. Like, their experience with God was so deep that they had a deep love that matched that experience. And whether someone was a Christian, whether someone was a non-believer, whether they had been a Christian and then walked away from the church, whether they were a drug addict or they were living the lowest life or the highest life, no matter what, they did not have hate for anybody. And so for me, I was shown through their examples what real love is like. And I think it was because for them, when you're in Cuba and you become a Christian, you have to dedicate your life wholly to it, and you can't go half in, half out. And they were all in, and their love matched that. And I want to resemble the same love that they had, and I want to show people what real love is and what love is like in Cuba. And so I hope that I'll be able to shine like the Cubans did and reflect off of their examples.
The senior class usually plays an important role in the school's success. They set the tone both spiritually and academically. They are the spoken and unspoken leaders, and their influence is seen and felt in all that happens. This year's senior class is no different. As a collective, the senior class was the compass for the spiritual direction the school took. They were the music to the soundtrack of the year. They were the example for others to emulate. All of them will be terribly missed.